The surprise Nalan felt soon went away and Nalan restored his calm. Even though he could not see through Hussain's mind, Nalan could see through his body. The body could make a lot of deceptive appearances, but under the Akala mantra, he could see almost every inch of Hussain's muscle. It was almost impossible to fool Nalan. After all, one would have to move certain muscles to use real strength, and there was no way around that. For Nalan Chengnuo, this kind of judgment was not difficult. Hussain had no secrets in the eyes of Nalan. All his muscles and even the speed of his breathing were imprinted in Nalan's mind. White fist. Nalan made his own judgment. There was no doubt that it was a white fist since Hussain used hardly any muscles that he would use for other moves. Although Nalan had determined it was a white fist, he still raised his arms to parry. It was not because he had no confidence in his judgment, but out of his respect for the opponent. In Nalan's view, Hussain was indeed among the top players. However, Hussain's disguise was not enough to fool him. Among all those he had fought, only the person from the Alliance Central Military Academy could ever fool him. That person could make a black fist white and a white fist black. Compared to him, Hussain was not perfect. Bang! Nalan's expression suddenly changed, as Hussain's fist landed on his arm and threw him away. It was determined as a black fist. It turned out to be black fist. Nalan was slightly startled. The audience was deadly silent. When Shushu opened her mouth wide and her eyes almost popped out of her head, she could not believe Hussain got another point against Nalan. Chengnuo, this is not possible. Zhu Yundi also felt incredulous. Except for the guy in the Alliance Central Military Academy, he had not ever seen anyone who could get the first point facing Nalan. After a brief silence, people who were watching online became wild. My God, he scored first against Nalan. Is he about to achieve 5-3-0? Quote, Saint Germain will go insane. *#T that's amazing. This guy is not just great with a warframe. Quote, Black Fist Emperor. If he could give Nalan a 0, I will call him Your Highness. Your Highness, please accept my allegiance. It's just 1 point. Don't get excited too early. The comments were exploding, and in the end, no one could see what they were saying since the page rolled down too fast. Except for in the match against the guy from the Alliance Central Military Academy, people had not seen Nalan fail for a long time. Blackhawk students were cheering and Ji Yanran was so excited that her face reddened. Bai Yishan was intrigued. Touching his chin, he asked himself, this is really interesting. One is pure and insightful, an angel from heaven. The other has strong control, but is more like a cunning devil from hell. Who can do better in the end? Quote, in the game, Nalan had restored his zen. A failure like that was not enough to shake him, but he had to admit that he had underestimated Hussain. Hussain's techniques were not as good as the guy from Alliance Central Military Academy, but he was more cunning. Maybe his flaws had made him strong. You're good. Nalan stood opposite Hussain and said, Thank you. Hussain accepted the compliment. Ready. Nalan's eyes were calm and steady, without any emotional fluctuations from his failure. Hussain did not hesitate to punch at him. An ordinary punch as it was, it attracted the attention of millions of people. All were nervously staring at Hussain's fist. Among all the people, Nalan was the calmest. He watched Hussain's punch quietly. It was almost exactly the same punch as the last one and seemed to be a white fist again. No matter how Nalan saw it, it was a white fist, since the punch simply could not carry the kind of strength that a black fist would require. There were still a lot of flaws in Hossain's move, but now Nalan knew that Hossain had immense control of his muscles and the barely noticeable flaws that only he could see were traps Hossain had set. But Nalan did not panic. Even if he could not tell whether it was a white fist, Nalan could still make a reasonable judgment. And that was the judgment of Hossain as a person. Since Hossain used an ID such as Black Fist Emperor, he must be a person with absolute self-confidence. And from the previous 4 rounds, Nalan could tell Hossain was indeed quite arrogant. In fact, Nalan had paid close attention to the previous rounds. With his ability of observation, Nalan noticed that Hossain always had a smile of victory the moment he threw his punch. Although it was only a slight upward curve, it revealed his self-confidence. At the same time, Nalan also noted another detail, something even Hossain himself probably did not know. In the 4 previous rounds, Hossain had attacked 12 times, only 3 of which were white fists. And Nalan had paid attention to every detail and knew that Hossain would have the smile on his face whether he used a black fist or a white one. But when Hossain was using a black fist, his smile would be slightly more tilted than when he was using a white fist. An average person would not see the difference, and only someone as observant as Nalan could notice this clue. Nalan knew that this was due to Hossain's preference of black fist. Hossain must really enjoy the kind of pleasure of hitting his opponent, and was excited to experience that. That was why he would smile a little more. And this subtle clue was again tested to be true in the previous punch. Nalan Chengnuo had confirmed that Hossain had the same kind of smile when using the black fist. That's right. This one must be a white fist. Nalan's eyes lit up. He crossed his arms and was ready to block the white fist. Hossain's smile at this moment was the one he would put on when giving a white fist.